Hey, what's going on guys, Kris here with another one of those weapon versus videos. And today's little face-off's going to be against two of Battlefield 5's self-loading recon weapons. A pair of very deadly ranged guns that can knock down players far away nice and easy. Weapon number one is the ZH-29, a Czechoslovakian semi-automatic rifle that was designed in the late 1920s. And weapon number two being the Selbstlader 1906, a gun from Germany that used a very similar kind of system to the iconic Luger pistol. A gun that a lot of you guys are going to know about already, with it featuring in Battlefield 1. These rifles play out in a very similar way, being designed for long to medium ranged engagements, though they're still not exactly going to perform as well as each other in certain scenarios, down to the fact that they do indeed have some subtle differences in their stats. So despite a lot of their key features being pretty much identical, there's still a fair few reasons why one is going to perform slightly differently, which will probably make one more suitable to you and your playstyle than the other. Let's go over those stats to see exactly how the two guns compare, and what things are going to make them feel different to use. So no matter which gun you decide to pick up and run with, there's definitely going to be a fair bit of power in your hands, because both the ZH-29 and the Selbstlader 1906 dish out some very respectable amounts of damage over all ranges, giving those bullets quite a lot of worth. But this is one of the biggest similarities between the two rifles, because they're both going to inflict the same damage values over all distances. No matter what range your opponent happens to be at, there's only a tiny difference in power output, with both weapons' maximum damages being set at 54 up to the range of 25 meters, which then very gradually drops down to the minimum damage of 52 at the range of 70 meters. So yeah, there's barely anything in it, meaning it's basically going to take 2 shots to kill over pretty much any range. Unless your enemy's already taken a bit of flak first, of course. Headshots are going to ramp that damage up even further, making those hits a hell of a lot deadlier, but it's still going to take 2 bullets to kill an enemy with full health regardless, making headshots a bit less important in a lot of cases. I guess the main and most obvious difference separating the two guns in terms of lethality pretty much comes down to the weapon with the fastest rate of fire. And in this case, the Selbstlader 1906 is the better option straight out of the gate, having the fire rate of 164 RPM. But this doesn't really make a drastic difference in kill times, because with the ZH-29 firing at the rate of 150 RPM, there's only a 14 RPM difference between the two rifles, meaning the Selbstlader shoots about 9% faster, and that's about it. With that said, depending on your specialization choices, the ZH-29 can actually have its fire rate increased with the trigger drop spec. And funnily enough, this pretty much puts it on par with the Selbstlader in terms of kill times, with it granting the ZH-29 the exact same fire rate of 164 RPM. The Selbstlader 1906 doesn't have access to the trigger job specialization, though because it'll fire at the same rate as a maxed out ZH-29, this does give you an extra specialization choice to spare, giving the gun better attributes in other fields. The only other thing that can really impact either of the weapons' kill times is muzzle velocity. And with the guns being on par with each other here too, and both sharing the very same high velocity bullet spec, this doesn't really give any particular rifle an advantage over the other. Though I should add that by applying the high velocity bullet spec, you will be able to cut down kill times slightly over further distances, potentially making the guns more dangerous against targets far away. Precision plays a pretty important role in a weapon's success, especially if it's a recon weapon designed to be used against enemies scurrying around in the distance. And statistically, you'd expect the ZH-29 and the Selbstlader 1906 to perform a little bit differently to each other in the way they kick around and land shots on target. So you might be a tad surprised to hear that the two guns literally have no direct difference in their general precision, as pretty much all of their stats regarding accuracy and stability are mirrored, meaning they're basically going to perform in the exact same way. They've both got the very same vertical recoil value of 2, which is actually quite high for the self-loading rifles, meaning they're going to be a bit harder to control than average. And they've also both got the same horizontal recoil value of 0, so no left or rightwards movement at all when you're opening fire, making them both very accurate weapons, perfect for gunning down other players far away in the distance. You know, the kind of thing the recon class is designed to do. Specializations can get involved to alter these recoil stats slightly, though the ZH-29 and Selbstlader 1906 only really have access to the recoil buffer, which is the only thing that's going to directly lower the weapon's recoil, dropping those vertical values down from 2 to 1.6. Muzzle velocity is yet another thing that can impact the rifle's ability to land shots easily, but once again this is another thing that's statistically mirrored, with the two guns having the very same bullet speed of 760 meters per second, 860 if you equip the high velocity bullet spec, which, surprise surprise, can be applied to both guns, giving neither weapon a distinct advantage over the other regarding precision. So statistically speaking, recoil, muzzle velocity, spread, and well, pretty much everything that ties in with a rifle's accuracy is the same for both of them, and all of the specializations that can improve these factors, such as the recoil buffer, barrel bedding, high velocity bullets, and even the bipod, are also the same between the guns too. But before we just write this section of the comparison off and dub them both being identical regarding precision, there is a very subtle, overlooked difference that we can still highlight. It might not seem so obvious because it's not linked in with their stats, but it's all down to the way the two guns have their specializations arranged on the tree. They might share the same accuracy affecting specializations, but it's key to know that the Selbstlader 1906 won't be able to use the recoil buffer spec at the same time as the high velocity bullets, unlike the ZH-29. And this is because they both happen to be next to each other at the end of the Selbstlader's spec tree. This potentially gives the ZH-29 an advantage over the Selbstlader 1906 for its long-ranged accuracy, possibly allowing it to be more effective if those two specializations have been chosen together. So although the two guns technically have access to the same stats, this layout of specializations just might benefit the ZH-29 a bit more, especially if we're taking precision into account. Now, probably the biggest comparisons between the ZH-29 and Selbstlader 1906 are going to be in the reliability section, because let's just say that there's a hell of a lot of different reload times, depending on when you hit the reload button and depending on which specializations you happen to choose. But straight away, one of the simpler things we can compare very easily is the amount of ammo both can hold, and in their base forms without modifications, the two guns can carry a standard 5 rounds max, allowing you to reliably take down two enemies with a fully loaded magazine. Because the ZH-29 has access to the detachable mag specialization though, this not only alters the rifle's reload speeds, but it also grants the weapon with an extra round, which is actually a huge bonus regarding reliability, as it essentially lets you kill an extra player than before with a full mag, or helps to compensate for a missed shot. With the Selbstlader carrying less than 6 rounds, this already gives the ZH-29 a bit of an advantage in this area. But most of the bigger comparisons can be made when we get those reload times involved, and without any specializations, the ZH-29 generally has the quicker bullet reloads, though the Selbstlader can perform clip reloads at a slightly faster pace. It's going to take between 3.3 to 5 seconds for the ZH-29 to reload 1 to 4 rounds, though it's going to take a little bit longer for the Selbstlader, which takes between 3.87 to 5.36 seconds. However, if we take a look at those clip reloads when the guns have both been emptied, the Selbstlader is going to be a tad quicker than the ZH-29, with it taking 3.36 seconds as opposed to 3.72. Not exactly a huge margin, but still a difference nevertheless. Of course, with long-ranged optics prohibiting the use of clips, this is going to result in longer empty reloads, and with the ZH-29 having faster bullet reloads, this then flips things around once again, having a full scoped reload time of 4.4 seconds instead of 5 seconds. As both weapons have different specializations that affect reload times, with the ZH-29 having access to the detachable mags, and the Selbstlader having the quick reload spec, this further complicates things, but generally gives the ZH-29 the superior tactical reloads with those detachable mags, only costing 2.95 seconds of your time, though it's going to take a lot longer to perform an empty one, taking 4.55 seconds, which is even longer than its stripper clip reload. The Selbstlader's quick reload spec cuts its times down by 15%, making things all seem a bit more manageable. Though the ZH-29 with its detachable mags is still generally going to be the more reliable option in most cases, down to it carrying that extra 6 cartridge, and because it's got the shorter, more consistent tactical reload times. Though if you completely empty the Selbstlader 1906's magazine, then it's generally going to have the faster speeds, especially if you've applied the quick reload spec and you've taken off its scope. So which gun should you choose? Both the ZH-29 and the Selbstlader 1906 function in very similar ways, in the sense that they typically deal the same damage, have the same sort of precision, and are both going to be great choices for engaging the enemy over those mid to long ranges. In many ways, apart from specializations and reload times, they're essentially the same gun from a stats viewpoint, and so if you like using one, then the other is also probably going to suit you quite well too. A lot of people are going to want to take those minor stat differences and specializations into account, though a lot of others might just want to choose the gun with the better iron sights for them, or just pick the gun that they like the look of the most. The Selbstlader generally has the faster base fire rate and quicker clip reloads, but restricts you from choosing between the recoil buffer or high velocity bullet specializations, which is going to slightly lower its usability over longer distances. And with these combination of factors, I guess you could say that it might be more suitable for mid-range fights, where you can take advantage of that faster base fire rate and spam the trigger a bit more to empty its magazine. And if you're not using a scope, then its stripper clip reloads will be far quicker than if you were to replace those individual rounds. Hence why it might be better to not use a scope and play a little bit closer to all the action with the Selbstlader 1906. The ZH-29 on the other hand just might be a slightly better ranged option, due to the fact that it typically fires slower, which can be quite problematic if you're close to the fight, and because you can choose to use both the recoil buffer and high velocity bullets together, which both make the gun feel easy to use against players far away. It also has the detachable magazine specialization too, which also really helps to speed up those tactical reloads and make them seem a lot more consistent. Not to mention the fact that it gives you an extra bullet to use too, potentially allowing you to kill more players per reload. And so if you're using the ZH-29, you can choose to either make it as deadly as the Selbstlader 1906 with the trigger job spec, or sacrifice a bit of that lethality for those much more reliable detachable magazines. So that's basically it for another one, folks. Hope you enjoyed the guide and learned some stuff. Let me know down below which is your favourite gun of the two, and be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay updated with all new content coming soon. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll be seeing you in that next episode.